This week's scenario is Outlast from the 2017 Steamroller packet. This scenario does have the Killbox artifice in effect and consists of 2 circular zones which can be controlled for 1 CP by warrior units, warcasters, and warlocks, and 2 flags which can be controlled for 1 CP by solos, warcasters, and warlocks. Victory conditions consist of earning 5 more control points than your opponent or caster assassination.
Hey everybody, MacDaddy here from the forums, playing my favorite warcaster in the game probably, Mohsar the Desertwalker, or at least my favorite warcaster in Circle, because 72 is kind of awesome too. I have a thing for old man casters, try not to take that too much out of context though, because that could get awkward. The entire premise of the list is mostly the mulch infantry with crevasse and the awesome gunboat that is the Fulcrum, but it can also crack arm really well with Curse of Shadows and in raids, and can lock things down with Pillars of Assault.
Hey everybody, this is Gaston, and today, not only are we playing Maelok, but we're actually playing with the Dracodile. It's been lovingly painted by our very own Taudark, and even though it doesn't actually make any competitive lists, we're going to slap this baby on the channel and see what she does. I think the Dracodile is actually a very interesting piece. I think it's very strong as far as Gargantuans go, but it definitely suffers from all the normal drawbacks that Gargantuans have, where you want to have multiple beasts in a list. And I think it actually fits well with Maelok because he can actually run with just 1 beast in a list, and you're able to mitigate a lot of his fury issues.
So going in advanced deployment, I see that big bad Dracodile staring down at me from the top of the table, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's a forest there that you can't see through. So I'm going to skew to the bottom here with my Gallows Groves. I debate putting the one up top, and they're like, no, they ignore tough, so let's put them with the Posse. So I'm going to skew to the bottom, and that's going to be my game plan pretty much for the going into this game, is to skew for the bottom half of the table.
When it comes to advanced deployment, the only model I have to advanced deploy is the Bone Shrine. Originally I was planning on deploying it behind Maelok, but my opponent lovingly convinced me to put it on my flag, so it'll go there for the duration of the game. I think it's very useful and very helpful with the fury management when you only have 1 beast to be able to pull that extra point of fury off of the Bone Shrine.
I love going first with this list, and with Bones in general, because it's really fast, and the +2 deployment's actually super relevant in the theme. And it's something I think a lot of people don't really appreciate about it. It's such a strong benefit with any theme that has that +2 deployment. It's even relevant in lists like Exemplar Interdiction. I love it, Errant. But anyway, that's Protectorate. We won't talk about those guys because they're jerks anyway. And basically, the game plan here is to run Screaming off the table and force a turn 1 feat. If we can accomplish forcing a turn 1 feat, then attrition is suddenly reasonable. One of the things I kind of wish I had in this matchup is Salt and Pepper Shakers, the Wold Guardians, because they would make Posse super sad. POW 20 with Enrage means that even at arm 2200 feet turn, those Posse just die. And Dracodiles also don't get like getting charged by POW 22 Wold Guardians for free, because that would probably end a Dracodile. So I'm kind of regretting having the Wardens here. But in a pairing, like, that's just what's going to happen sometimes. The Woldwardens are also pretty darn strong. Being able to get up to POW 20 against the Curse of Shadows unit is super legit. Most of the time they're going to only be arm 20 with unyielding anyway, so that should probably get the job done. A Woldwarden should kill 2 to 3 Posse a turn if they have Curse of Shadows on them and I enrage it. And that's pretty much all I need out of them, because if I can kill 3 Posse and only 2 to 3 can get on my Woldwardens, even with mortality, there's actually a pretty okay chance of my Woldwardens living. So really, Maelok forces attrition, so I have to play his game, which is going to suck a little bit, but at the same time I have Pillars of Salt, and Pillars of Salt are going to be super pitiful in this matchup. If I can use proper pillar placement, I can really cheat attrition here, and I can really, I can pretty much, if I can lock down that Dracodile with pillars and 1 unit of Posse to that top half of the table, then I think I can just win attrition, because if I can run to the bottom half of the table and skew to the bottom half of the table and just obliterate 2 units of Posse without having to confront that Dracodile, I'm okay. And you're going to see me, for the most part, commit to that game plan, but for whatever reason I put that Woldwarden in the top zone because I think I need him there, and in hindsight I don't. Between Pillars and the Sentry Stone and Shifting Stones, I should actually be able to keep that zone contest on a lockdown, but I was really concerned with that Dracodile just randomly bullying that top zone if I didn't put a heavy up there, which I should have just forced him to the bottom of the table and really forced the issue. The Dracodile is pretty darn slow, so if he, I can actually probably take advantage of that. With the Fulcrum bum rushing down there as well, you'll see that, because blind sprays are really bad, surprisingly, on a all-shooting battle engine that can't shake blind.
This is very illustrative of why I love to go first, and why I hate when my opponents go first. He has basically set himself up so that I can't run to engage things. So I'm going to be running on up with my all melee army into his gun line, and he's going to get a full round and just sitting there and taking pot shots at me. And it is so frustrating. Which also means that in order to mitigate this, I'm going to have to be feeding on turn 1 with Maelok. The downside to doing things like that is that the Posse don't come with Pathfinder anymore, and you can really only go say one at a time, so you really liked the opportunity to save the feat in order to use the Incorporeal to kind of overcome that weakness within your army. And that's just not going to happen here anymore. So Maelok's coming up, he's casting Death Pact, and he is going 2 feet, and we are all super duper excited about that. The Posse, they're just going to run on up. They are going to, one of them is actually going to charge and remove a Salt Pillar. And otherwise they're going to Dirge of Mists, because a little defense is going to hopefully help me. The reason I feeded is I want to be able to, if I understand that he is going to be shooting at me, and kind of what my idea of his plan is, that I want to put my strongest face into him. So I want to have my armor up as high as I can possibly get it, which if I'm not in melee, is going to be armor 20. Armor 20, 8 boxes, that's a fair amount of meat to chew through. And basically I'm going to be camping that he just can't get through to it, and I'm going to be able to countercharge him and start making attacks next turn. I'm taking a couple other measures, such as putting the Totem Hunter on the hill, get a little extra defense, and that's stealth, so maybe he's going to be alive even though they have the Mannikin sprays. They don't ignore the +2 for being on the hill, so I have that opportunity. I also have the Soul Slave coming around, the idea being that I'll be able to leverage mortality on the other side of the field as well.
Oh my gosh, there are gators, and they're everywhere, and they're way faster than I thought they'd be. I didn't think that gators could move that quickly, but Death Ride's a thing, and it's a scary thing. So yeah, they're a lot closer than I expected them to be. Something I've learned, and continue to learn, is it's really good to know your opponent's rules and how far things move, and things like that. Speed is one of the most important stats in the game. This is a saying you'll hear a lot online, and it's actually pretty darn true. So those Posse are about midfield already, and I should have anticipated that, but the +1 speed is actually making a huge difference now, because it pretty much is putting them about at the 24-inch line, and it actually forces the line of engagement back, believe it or not, because I can't move up to the line of engagement. I have to move back a little bit and shoot, because if I get charged by 5 to 10, 5 or more Posse members, I'm going to lose heavy. So this turn you're going to see me do a lot of finagling. The ultimate game plan is to kill an entire unit of Posse and possibly more. The Woldwyrds and the Fulcrum alone with Curse of Shadows should be really good at killing Posse. And I think you're going to see they're actually going to do a pretty good job at obliterating Posse units under Curse of Shadows, because Posse don't get unyielding when I'm shooting at them, which is pretty awesome. Even while engaged now, actually, they don't get unyielding because of the new unyielding rule, which I actually think is really good, but that's besides the point. Another thing you're going to see here is those clutch Gallows Groves. They're super legit. Ignoring tough on these Posse is a really big deal when it comes to dealing math that is removing them from the table. I don't know why I'm measuring the engagement there, because I've already put Curse of Shadows on the Posse. I think it was to not give them the firing and melee bonus, which, yeah, that's why it was. To not give them the firing and melee bonus, because apparently you can do that even though it's a tree. But that's just how the rules work. So Fulcrums are going to go, and they're just going to light them up because laser shrimp are the best shrimp. And they're going to start frying some Posse members. POW 12s, boosted POW 12s specifically, at Rat 6 are surprisingly good at killing ARM 18 models, dice off 6 even. It's pretty effective. I think between the Fulcrum and the 2 Weirds, I'm going to kill a decent number of Posse. And like I said, the ultimate goal is to kill 5 Posse at least, push more towards the 7 to 8 mark, because that would be really awesome. What I should have done in this top zone with that pillar placement is I didn't consider Venom as an actual viable way of spraying them off the table. But it is. Boosted Venoms still have a decent chance. It's about a coin flip whether they remove the pillar or not. And I thought going into this that those pillars were going to give him nightmares, serious headaches. I thought he was going to have to maybe commit Maelok to kill a pillar. I thought those Posse were going to get jammed up by a pillar. I thought in general that they would be a lot more of a nuisance than they are, but, you know, boosted Venoms can do it. I think I thought Venoms are POW 10. I'm not sure if they're POW 10. I'm pretty sure Venoms are POW 10, but I could be wrong. If they're POW 12, then that's my fault once again. Know your opponent's rules. It's almost like that's a key thing in winning the game. Another interesting tech here is that continuous fire on that Fulcrum. It's dice off 4 on the Posse if the fire doesn't go out, so that's actually one of my best ways to remove Posse. And removing models during your opponent's turn is always exciting, because it's something that just gives you a little bit of happiness, because you're not wasting much of your own clock to do it, I guess. I don't know. It just makes me happy. I guess I don't have a really valid reason for it. A little interesting tidbit here. Well, what you're going to see me do is measuring Wardens. Like I said, I'm trying to maximize the amount of Posse I kill on his feet turn. Mostly I guess it's like a spiteful thing, but mostly because if I can kill a lot of Posse on his feet turn, then he's in trouble. And it's actually a confidence booster for me, knowing that I can kill a lot of models even when they're plus 2. Arm 22 Posse dying in mass is actually pretty awesome. So I'm really trying to maximize how much I can get here. I realize that porting's not really going to be enough, so I'm going to have to settle for less there. Another thing that's about to happen here is I'm going to charge these Mannikins. This is a huge mistake. First of all, I end up at the end of the day giving the Posse an extra 1 arm. I'm doing it so that I can get more accuracy, but then at the end of the day, like, aiming and spraying would have just been better, because I probably hit more Posse members once I line up all the sprays. And more importantly, I don't leave that stupid Sentry Stone in a prime position to get attacked by the darn Totem Hunter. My first thought process was, well, he'll just jump and get to me anyway. No, only getting 1 polearm is super relevant in that Sentry Stone living or dying, even with prey. If the dude doesn't get the buckler, my Sentry Stone lives. I also forgot that he had Ghostly, which is kind of silly. Not silly, but it's kind of sad, because that Posse member can totally charge by my Mannikins and not take free strikes. So I'm not sure what my thought process was there. I just wasn't thinking about that placement. That was bad placement on my part. You're going to see these Wardens go in here. I enraged both of them. The one on the bottom is actually going to do some decent work. My thinking, like, hey, maybe I should have gone for the chain attack slam. I was thinking, like, I'll just kill the Posse with boosted damage rolls. I really should have just gone for the chain attack on them. But 6s to hit can kind of make you sad, so I think I was just going for the guaranteed Posse kills. Only one of them got a tough check and he failed, which is kind of awesome. And then I go for a crevasse on that Soul Slave because I'm like, oh, it's a solo. It's an Arm 21 solo, and that's ridiculous. So actually one of the main strengths of this list is scaffolding out support models, and Gaston's list has really, really tough support models. So what you see me doing here is pre-measuring for Megalith, and I realize I can only get 1 Posse member. I was trying to get super greedy and go for 2 Posse members because if I can get my and contest the zone, to contest the flag, and that would have been awesome, but I realize I can't really get that far. That Warden going in there is a huge mistake. I pretty much feed him a Woldwarden for nothing. He whiffs pretty horribly. He probably should have killed 1 or 2 of those Posse members with Enrage and boosted damage rolls, but I missed like 3 out of 4 of my attacks, and that was pretty rough. And the one I hit, I boosted damage and did like 4 damage, which was super depressing. Mannikins going in to try to finish up. Once again, should have sprayed. They are lower arm when I spray by 1, which is just a blunder on my part. Math is power, guys. Math is power. So just always run the math when you do stuff like that. Not super pleased with how many Posse I've killed so far. I think I kill 5 by the end of this turn, and that's why you see me really desperately trying to get that Megalith in there to kill some extra Posse and to get a little bit more threat on Maelok and the Dracodile. If I can just push his lines back and score on scenario, that's awesome. Another thing you'll see is I don't have anyone basing my flag, which is so stupid because that's so relevant for scenario. I'm pushing for scenario kind of hard here because the Dracodile I can't kill, so I really have to close this game out, and he's probably going to kill all but Megalith. or all my heavies before I finish killing his posse, because just because of the way the trading game works, and mortality is actually pretty darn good. So I end up deciding to undergrowth with Megalith to limit how many posse he can get to that Woldwarden in this turn, and if I can do that, that's pretty good.
In all honesty, it could have been worse, realistically speaking. I definitely have a hell of a bloody nose from the last turn, but I'm not in an awful position. I didn't lose too many posse members, and I have the opportunity now to take 2 of his heavies off the table, and hopefully that'll swing attrition far enough into my favor that'll quote-unquote end the game, but the game's going to keep going. So we're going to have the ambushers. They're going to come on in from the top of the screen. I broke a couple rules when I was making this list on including them, which normally when I take a unit to ambush, I always take a min unit. I don't like to overinvest points into something that's going to maybe have an impact, maybe not have an impact. This game especially, there's not really a lot going on up top or on the bottom for the ambushers to come in and hit. There's nothing in their charge range, there's nothing they can get to. I was hopefully checking to see if they could even get to that salt pillar up top, and they can't. So what they're going to do is they're basically going to change places with my posse in the top zone. They're going to come up, they're going to score it for me, and then the posse are going to be free to move on and attack other things. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Otherwise, we're looking at trying to remove these 2 super aggravating salt pillars directly in front of the Dracodile that allow him to charge in and bite on that Wold, whatever the hell it's called. One of the things you have to be very cognizant about when playing against Mohsar is how much fury is on your beast, because at some point you are going to be taking a frenzy check. And I would love to have that free charge and the 4 initial attacks to try to kill that guy without spending any fury. That's my goal here. In order to do that, I obviously need to get the pillars out of the way. I have some order of activation issues up there as well, because what I like to do is get the pillars out of the way, have the Dracodile come in, kill his heavy, and then that'll free up my posse to charge even further into his back lines to try to get at that Sentry stone, to try to get at that, looks like a Blackclad Wayfarer, get almost to turn his flank. But in order to do that, you gotta get rid of the pillars. Maelok, he's gonna activate Death Pact because that's what Maelok does. He always does that. And what you're gonna find is that he fails to break armor on one of the pillars, and that entire plan just goes out the window. It's done. So now the posse are going to be moving out of the Dracodile's way. They're charging on in. They're going to try to chomp on some shifting stones. They're going to try to chomp on some Mannikins, things of that nature. Because there's one posse in the back who was pretty much screwing over the Dracodile. I thought about trying to sack strike him, and it just didn't seem worthwhile. So they go in. They're pretty good. Congratulations to the posse. They're able to challenge some stones, and they sound delicious. They eat up all the Mannikins. We're very, very proud of our Gators there. So with all that done and out of the way, we're able to now activate the Dracodile. He's able to scoot, scoot, scoot. He's going to move on in, and he is going to start chomping on that Wold. So no charging for me, unfortunately, because of the pillar, but I do have 4 initials. And he goes in, and he hits all of his attacks, and he absolutely does the worst amount of damage ever. Like, after his initials, I think the Wold still had like 20 health. So he's going to do exactly what I don't want him to start doing, which we're already in the situation is going to happen, is buy attacks. And he's going to buy an attack. And he's going to go up to 3 Fury. And that is going to make me incredibly... That is a huge risk coming into this matchup, understanding what Mohsar's Feet does, where I'm not allowed to reave that Fury. But that's the way it works. It's dice, and that Wold needed to die, because I wanted to score that zone. So my Trogs come in. I try to spread them all around, so I'm not going to be able to get to the Sentry Stone, which means they're going to take some Mannikin sprays. I'm going to be very unhappy with life. But, that's a Trog life for you. So going on down at the bottom of the table is far more complicated. I'm trying to get... I was able to have the Soul Slave put Mortality onto his other... What's it called? A Guardian, I think. So then I'm trying to figure out this way of delivering Posse into that Guardian. And I feel like I need at least 3, but I'd like more than 3. I'd like to get 4 on there. So my options are A, I can have Totem Hunter walk on up, hop over, and try to pop that Shifting Stone in the back, and that'll get the Mannikins to disappear. And when you look at how Prey works, you look at kind of how the dice averages work, it is very on the edge. It is very risky. it's a very interesting thing playing into the stones part of Circle, is that you end up with that a lot, where you have the armor 18 and the 8 boxes, and you're trying to figure out, you know, just what is the hairy edge of being able to kill that with as few resources as possible. Because you don't want to undercommit, but you don't want to overcommit, because you gotta kill these Mannikins, you got another Sentry Stone in the way. And this is also a weakness you see of armies that are very unit dependent, is I only have like 1 or 2 solos here to kind of unjam myself. And that's another reason why the feat and holding the feat is so important, and I was very grumpy about feeding on turn 1, is that if I was able to go incorporeal, then none of this jamming would matter. So, as it is, I found the alternative solution, which is to put Ghostly onto the bottom Croc, and he's going to charge the Sentry Stone. And then you have the other Croc who's left over in the unit, he's going to charge a Shifting Stone, and he manages to do like 1 damage to the Shifting Stone, which I'm very unimpressed, and then the other one leaves a Sentry Stone on 1 health, which also I'm not the world's happiest person in that. So in order to get the Sentry Stone, get these Mannikins out of the way, we've got Totem Hunter, he's going to walk on over, just checking for a free strike here. And he's going to take his leap, and he's going to pop it, and he's going to kill it. He's going to stab this stupid tree with a shield, and he's not going to kill a stupid tree. So, yeah, sucks to be me. And at least the Mannikins are out of the way now. Then in a completely bloodthirsty, cold-blooded move, I have one of the Witch Docks come over and sack strike the other Witch Dock in order to kill that stupid Shifting Stone. Even though I was really proud of my problem solving right there, I do need to fess up that after the game, we figured out that sack strike only works on a trooper model, not on any model, so I'd have had to actually grab one of the Gatorman Posse in order to pull that off. Just wanted to fess up. So now we're going through, get some Gators, they're all charging in onto this Guardian, all the tails and stuff are pushing the models around, sorry about that. But with the combination of Mortality and the charge, they are able to take the Wolves down, which is very good news for me. That definitely keeps me in the game. So now we definitely have a huge attrition on, it's going to come down to, I think, Mohsar's feat on that Dracodile, and then also seeing how things go with, you know, my Posse, their ability to attrition. Obviously, I can't revive too much in this game. It's just there's not the fury for it.
Yeah, bad placement will kick you in the butt, guys. Bad placement and bad decisions has lost me a heavy that I didn't expect to lose, and a Sentry Stone. So really should have been careful with that more careful with that stone placement. I really should have reconsidered my options with that Warden in the top zone. He didn't need to commit. I could have jammed with Pillars and been perfectly safe. I really underestimated Venom as a spell, and I got punched in the nuts for it. So that's what happens, though. I'm learning a lot playing against the Advanced Maneuvers guys. They're really good at the game, and so it's definitely making me clean up my play a lot more. Believe it or not, I make mistakes all the time. You know, I know that's super surprising to all you guys, but yeah, I do make mistakes. Anyway, so this is a recovery turn. Basically, what I'm trying to do is clear that bottom zone. If I can clear that bottom zone, I can recover on scenario. I remember to base that flag, which is what I should have done the turn before, because then it's suddenly not a 2-0, it is 1-2, and I can actually go up on scenario this turn. That Sentry Stone's still there. It would have still been there whether the Warden had been there or not. So, yeah, just, once again, mistakes, that heavies that didn't need to be committed, losses that I did not need to suffer. And, yeah, it got, that was pretty rough. So, this Fulcrum is going to do a hilarious crit stationary on this Totem Hunter and turn him into a popsicle and then kill him with a lightning bolt, which is pretty darn awesome, and the electro leap does nothing. And then I choose to blow up this Posse member with a fire blast. I consider shooting the 3, but then I'm like, I'm just going to kill one Posse member anyway, and I plan on committing Megalith to those 3 Posse because I'm pretty confident that if I feed that Dracodile, it's going to frenzy and Gaston can roll a 5, which is possible. I mean, it's definitely possible, but at this point I kind of need him to roll 6 or more on those dice. And luckily, I mean, I did luck out with the him needing to buy for extra ones, so dice suck on there. But I'm not complaining, because I need it, considering the mistakes I made. Here we go with the Woldwyrds blowing Posse off the table. They're already pretty beat up. The ones that took fire damage, actually, I rolled less than 4 for the fire damage, so they didn't take any damage. I think one maybe took 1 point, so that was kind of depressing. And then, once again, they're just trying to clear that zone. Mohsar's going to walk up. He is going to, I think, cast Curse of Shadows. Yeah, he cast Curse of Shadows on the Posse unit. That's still the next Posse unit, so just moving down the line. And going to place down some pillars to protect my Sentry Stone. That Mannikin should kill a decent number of Bog Trogs. And then my Blackclad's going to move up into the zone and spray some more Bog Trogs. So I'm not really concerned about the Bog Trogs, but if they get more than a few charges off on my Sentry Stone, it will die. And I'm trying to jam the Posse up with those two. Pillar placement's going to be kind of limited. I'm not really considering that Dracodile passing his Frenzy check. So I'm just kind of trying to limit what can get to my contesting pieces. Megalith's going to go in with Enrage and Curse of Shadows. He's just going to peel those Posse members off the table. He kills 3 all on his own, and that's actually pretty awesome for me. Megalith is just such a great piece. I love him. I love him to death. I'm going to crevasse that stupid Soul Slave to try to pull him off the table, just do some extra chip damage, because free mortalities are never fun. But darn, he's a durable darn solo. That is for sure. I mean, he is freaking tough. Not high defense, but 21 is legit. And it's scary. Arm 19 is actually legit. He's Arm 19 right now, I'm pretty sure. So doing work on those nerds. That's Sentry Stone. So this is back down to positioning. I should have moved him closer to the Bog Trogs and put pillars down to block off the Bog Trogs and moved out of Posse threat. As best as possible. I think my position with him was poor. But the Blackclad actually does pretty well. He kills 2 nerds. And then now just kind of clean up that Fulcrum's actually going to go and try to kill that Soul Slave and stay away from all the dangerous Posse. And he fails to do it, which was super surprising, but actually not surprising because Arm 19 is a thing.
As predicted, Mohsar feated. And everything's going to come down to, does the Dracodile Frenzy? Does he not? So we take the magical roll, and the dice says he doesn't. And it is so good. So good. Every now and then, you go back over a game, and you're like, this was a deciding moment. We knew at the moment in this game that meant a whole lot. It meant an absolute huge deal there to have that Dracodile not frenzy. So, trying to figure out the best way to take advantage of that, which is basically to have it eat Megalith. So, again, Soul Slave, Mortality. Because he takes the damage at the end of the spell being cast, he ends up killing himself. He was only on 1 health to begin with. Then we are going to go ahead and try to clear the zone out. You've got the Sentry Stone up top, so you need to have the Posse go, or the Bog Trogs are going to go. They're going to clear out the Salt Pillars, and they're going to try to kill off a Blackclad as well, just for fun. So we're using some dead Bog Trogs as proxy bases here. See what I can get in on. I'm trying to get a CMA on the Blackclad. The answer is no. So we're just going to try to Rog Dog that. I think he needs an 8 to hit. It's the worst that could happen. So they charge in. The one gets on Blackclad, the other ones are going to go on the pillars. We're going to put 2 on the bottom pillar because it's important to me. That's the one that matters. That makes the most tactical impact. Naturally, the Bog Trog actually does hit the Blackclad, and screw you, Blackclad, you're dead. That's what you get for enslaving my peeps. So they'll clear out the Salt Pillars, which in turn open up the charge lanes that the Posse need. We're get up in there, try to hopefully take out that Sentry Stone, and then I think they're going to gun for the, what's it called, a Stoneshaper. And that's also going to have the additional impact of contesting his flag, which is very important to me as well. And I'll chomp on Megalith a little for fun. No one really likes Megalith. So that one Posse, those 2 Posse have to just run to make sure I'm getting out of the way of the Dracodile. So, Stoneshaper, dead, no problem. Sentry Stone is on like 1 health, 3 health, something like that. He didn't do so great on the damage, but it happens. So unfortunately no points up there for me this turn. Otherwise, we've got that freeze up the Dracodile. So we're just using a little proxy base there, and he's going to walk on up, and life is going to be pretty darn good. And he is going to eat himself a Megalith. And it is going to be beautiful. Mortality does help a lot. I will say I didn't have mortality on the Guardian up top, and it made a big difference. So, Megalith's out of the way. That's a big thing for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my Witch Dock, and he's going to charge that injured tree. These trees are killing me because I'm not getting any tough, I'm not getting any snacking, healing, that what I could snack. So, I want those trees gone. Maelok himself, he's going to go hide in a puddle. He's going to cast Death Pact. Everyone's going to be shocked.
So darn, my feat was useless. One of the things that I've actually found a lot playing against Gaston is when a player knows what he's doing, he can actually turn off Mohsar's feat even in Hordes. And Circle doesn't like taking damage well, so if your opponent is forcing their beasts to the risk of taking Frenzy Attacks, typically you've lost things, and then your feat's kind of just like, and it becomes a problem. It can be super strong in the right matchups, but against Gaston has been actually really good at shutting down Mohsar's feat the last couple times I've played against him, which has been kind of super depressing. So this turn, believe it or not, there's still actually an option for me to win, even with no heavies on the table. I can't kill the Dracodile, but I sure as heck can kill those Posse and those stupid Trogs, and clear both zones and start scoring points. If I can kill most of that unit of Posse, then I'm in a really good spot in the Witch Dock. And that's super feasible. The Fulcrum and Mohsar should be able to remove a decent number of the Posse members. One thing I do here that's a mistake is I'm actually going to spray with Mohsar before applying Curse of Shadows, which is just dumb. Super dumb to do that instead of applying Curse of Shadows. Oh wait, nope, never mind. I think I actually go spray the Witch Dock. Yeah, no, I'm going to spray the Witch Dock. I don't boost, I think, and I end up missing, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so that's the plan. Kill all the Posse, and then block with Pillars. If I can keep myself from getting assassinated with those awesome Pillars Assault from that silly Dracodile, then I'm in a really good spot. It's only speed 5, and if I can kill the Witch Dock, it can't get up to speed 6. So I debate putting them aggressively forward, and then I realize that I'm just going to be giving those Posses cover, and that's not good. So I decided to put them defensively. And I think Mohsar's pretty safe there. So Curse of Shadow Posse are Arm 16. They're actually Arm 16 with Death Pact under Curse of Shadows, and that Fulcrum's going to just start peeling Posse off the table. It's a thing. Yeah, the Fulcrum is a really good gunboat. And so here I am removing Posse members, spraying down these guys, shooting them with lightning bolts and all kinds of terrible things that the Fulcrum's doing. And then in that zone, so the top zone's now clear, so now I just have to clear the bottom zone and kill that Witch Dock. In hindsight, I should have probably just ignore the Witch Dock. I should have probably gone for the Bone Shrine or the last 2 Posse members, and then removed his opportunities to remove those pillars, and just kept the Witch Dock jammed up. But due to an unbelievable stroke of horrible dice rolls, lots of ones were rolled, and that Croc Dock still lives. So that was super depressing. So I don't clear the zone, and the game's basically I'm in a really bad position at this point. So I'm kind of tilting. You'll see me make root gestures at my Woldwyrds, and then in an act of desperation, just because I'm tilting at this point, instead of spraying Posse, I spray the Croc Dock and don't do anything. So it happens.
When I'm throwing the Witch Dock up into the zone at the bottom, I pretty much assume he's going to die and he's just a contesting piece, and wow, those are some bad dice rolls. I can't believe he's actually still alive. So, obviously now the Mohsar is down to no Fury Camp, so we have an opportunity here to kind of take him out with the Dracodile. Got Maelok, he's going to go through the Arc Node and spray off one of the pillars. He is going to then, we're just going to see if the Dracodile can get in there, and he can. So, there's goodness there. One of the things I was checking to see is if he needed Death Ride or not. But I think he can just pretty reasonably charge now he has line of sight. The other thing is Maelok is going to hanker on over there, and he's going to parasite himself down another Sentry Stone. So that way I can grab that zone up top, just to play the scenario game in case this doesn't go so well for me. So now I'm back to getting points on my flag, I'm getting points in my zone, and I am contesting his, all of which are important. So now we have the Posse. They're going to charge, they're going to break up the other pillar, and that'll make my charge lane even easier for the Dracodile. He's going to go on in, he's going to boost the Assault Spray, he will get the blind, and that makes Mohsar pretty easy pickings for my giant reptilian baby. Hope you all enjoyed the game, hope you all enjoyed the Dracodile. Thank you for watching.
So, yeah, that was a loss for Circle. Completely avoidable too. That list, that Mohsar list, I was really surprised with how well it actually could remove Posse. And Pillars Assault are really good at shutting down medium-based infantry and Dracodiles when you use them properly. So, I actually don't think my pillar placement was that bad until the end of the game. Leaving that pillar within 8 inches of that stupid Bone Shrine, which I talked Gaston into putting there. I'm so regretting that. That Bone Shrine was so relevant. It meant he could put his solo. I guess I'm just too nice. But it just left a very relevant arc node that was scoring that flag that I couldn't really feasibly remove there. I know he probably just bases the flag with Maelok, but then, you know, there's actually that to deal with instead of him basing it with a cute little 2-point solo. So, or a Crocdoc, which means there's not a Crocdoc in the zone at the end of the game that doesn't die to Woldwyrd staring at him and singing Kumbaya. So, overall, one of the biggest mistakes was committing that Woldwarden to the top zone on turn 2 and losing him for nothing. I should have just backed him off, and then positioning mistakes throughout the game. Pillars at the end of the game being one of them. The Sentry Stone was a big deal. If I still have that Sentry Stone in the bottom zone, that's awesome. I don't have to move Mohsar into the zone to score it. I can back him off and play a safer game. And I can jam that Dracodile better with small bases, forcing him to trample if he wants to get work done. So just positioning is everything. That is definitely something that I need to get better at and crack down on. Definitely frustrating looking back on the game and seeing some of the big glaring mistakes. They're just dumb mistakes that I didn't need to make. So overall, though it was a super fun game, we laughed a lot, particularly towards the end there, because I'm still not sure what those Woldwyrds were doing. But either that Witch Doc was as tough as nails, or my Woldwyrds had just, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But I mean, that's just happens, dice. It's funny. It's fun when you have somebody that you can laugh it off with instead of getting angry and throwing your dice at the table. I know I made a rude gesture at my Woldwyrd, but it was all in good fun, and I apologize to that model later because, you know, you got to treat your models nice or they won't perform for you. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll be back on the channel and actually perform better next time.